Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome. It's been a while. Probably not if you're just going down our podcast list, but it has been a while. And welcome to Boss Talks. I'm here with the lovely Kristine Drummond, my partner in crime. And look, if this is the first time you're hearing from us, welcome. And if it's not, welcome anyway. The reason why we put this podcast together is because over the years, Kristine and I have done a lot of growing. We've done a lot of personal development, and we're out there in the trenches. We're out there seeing where the world's going, and you're only one decision away from a totally different life. And we want you to be able to make that decision, and we want you to be able to take the reins of your life and become the boss. That's why we call it Boss Talks. So there is no monetary cost to listening to this podcast, even though we've had many people say that we should be charging for it. We do not have adverts at the start. It's just us. But there is a cost, guys. If you find this valuable, hey, share it to a friend. If you found value in this and you know someone that's going through something that we have as a topic here, just share it out. Let them hear it. It could change someone's life. So today's a really, really special topic for me, and it's about like the value in coaching. There's people that are for coaching. There's people that are against it. And the reason why I know coaching's so amazing, not only because I am one, that's a different story. I became one because it had such a massive change in my life. And without it, I don't know where I'd be. I really don't know where I'd be. So, if someone went to the doctor, and if you went to the doctor, listeners, and the doctor told you that you had a terminal illness or you had some form of illness that was life-threatening and that you needed to make a big change in your lifestyle, like, I'm curious, how many of you would actually make that change? Well, I know that the actual facts behind that, even though you might be sitting here listening and going, wow, I would definitely make that change. I want to live. The statistics behind it are that you actually wouldn't. And the reason why I know this is because in 1993, Mutual of Omaha, which is a large insurance company in America for health, did a study of 333 patients that had life-threatening diseases. And these patients were told that if they didn't make a change in their life, that they face the reality of that they're going to perish. So these people had blood clots, they had heart disease and everything like that. So after 12 months, Mutual of Omaha came back and did a study on the patients. And out of all the patients, only 7% changed their life. That means 93% would rather stick to their current lifestyle, even in the face of death. It's just mind-boggling to me. Anyway, so what they did, because they're a nice insurance company, and insurance companies are so honest and everything like that, they're actually worried about the cost of actually paying for all these people that needed to make a difference in their life. And healthcare is expensive. And what they did is they got a doctor to come in and do a program, and they had procedures and to help these people change their life. So for 12 months, these patients in the study got to do cardiovascular work. They got menu items. They got trained, Pilates, breathing exercise, meditation, all the things that we know that Kristine and I have actually said on this podcast and you hear all over the world that is important for good health. They got trained for 12 months doing that. And after 12 months, they pulled the pin on it and they let it go. So 2 years after the end of the program and 3 years after it started, Mutual came back and they checked in on the patients. And I'm wondering, listeners, How many do you think actually changed their lives then? Actually stuck to their guns? It was actually 74%. 74% stuck to their guns. So for me, this is why even seminars on their own don't work. This is why I believe, because like you can go to seminars, you can go and get pumped up, you can go learn something, you can go learn it once, you can go to school, like all these things, right? And you can know that it's important, just like these patients knew that it was important for them to change their lives, just, you know. But if you're not willing to change your life to save it, it's highly unlikely you're going to do the other things that you know when you hear this podcast and get inspired, or you hear someone else's content, that you're actually going to carry on with it. So that's why we do this podcast so often. And that's why the most valuable thing I've ever done for my personal development is to hire a coach that holds me accountable, educates me on a weekly basis on the things that I need to learn, and like won't let me get stuck in my story. Now, Kristine, that was a fairly long intro, but I just really want to impress upon our listeners that coaching has been amazing for me. It's been so important to my growth. It's made my last 3 years, it's made even the challenges seem sweet. I've just really had a good experience with it. So like I know that's why I'm a coach, because I want to pass that on. I think that if we can pass what we learn on from our mentors onto more people, I think that we've got a chance. I think the human race has a chance. So what do you think? I'm being pretty dramatic. What do you reckon?
Mate, great introduction. I love that story and I love that study. And, you know, I'm a personal trainer. So, you know, people hired me to get the results that they wanted in regards to their fitness, you know, and I have coaches for all different aspects of my life. You know, I've got a life coach, I've got a financial coach, I've got a personal trainer, I've got a myotherapist. Like there's areas in my life that I want to be continually on top of and improving and evolving to give me that masterpiece life. I know that I can't do it alone. And there's experts out there that have more knowledge, that are actually immersing themselves in those areas that I'm not interested in immersing myself in. So it's kind of like a shortcut, you know. They've done all the hard yards in regards to, you know, the personal training or the finances or the life coaching, all that kind of stuff, you know, and they've coached thousands and thousands of people. So whenever I've wanted to get to that next level in life or business or whatever, I've always had a coach, and they've always been exponential to my growth. And I've never gone backwards having a coach, ever. Not once have I ever regretted, oh, geez, I shouldn't have got that coach. Now I'm 10 steps back. Never. I've always gone forward, and it's always got me to where I wanted to go, and definitely in the right direction. So having said that, people, Joel, often think of coaching as an expense, but you and I have a different thought. We see it as an investment, and a very important investment. And when people are sort of talking to me about, you know, maybe going to seminars or self-development things or getting coaches, I think you've got to look at, well, what's going to be the return on that investment? You know, are you going to be able to make back what you've invested into that course, into that coach, into, you know, whatever it is you're going to invest that money in? And most of the time, I would say that, yes, you will get that money back, and it will probably be times 10, you know, just from the growth and the strategies that you learn. But you know what it comes down to, Joel? For me, what I've discovered is that people just want to be told what to do sometimes. Like for me, like I'm a personal trainer, but I just want to turn up to my personal training session and not have to think about what I have to do. I just want someone else telling me what to do. As a personal trainer, we tell people all the time what to do. So for me, I love being able to go to my sessions and the schedule's already written. I don't have to think about reps or what the exercises are. He just tells me what to do when I do it, you know. And I think people are craving that. And I think that's why that study that you mentioned in the beginning shows such a difference in how, like, that 75% then stuck to their program. It's because they were shown what to do. They were shown how to shop. They were shown how to prep the food. They were shown how to prepare and cook the food. You know, all those little things matter. It's that compound effect. And that's what coaches do. So if you're starting a business, you're going to need a great team around you to help get that business off the ground and running. And I'm not just talking a coach, like you're going to need like great financial assistance and maybe a bookkeeper and maybe a personal assistant and, you know, this team of people like marketing and branding and all that kind of stuff. So for me, like coaching is just second to none. And I definitely wouldn't be half the person I am today if I didn't have people holding me accountable to my word. And that's the thing. When we try and do it ourselves, we try and keep ourselves accountable to our own word. But how often do we cancel on ourselves? How often do we break our own promises to ourselves? And you guys know how hard it is to motivate yourself to do something. Imagine trying to get like a team of people to do that. Whereas if someone's holding you accountable on a weekly basis and you've got to check back in, you've got that 7-day deadline to get that done, whatever your coach has given you, those tasks, you're going to stick to it, you know, because you know what's going to happen if you don't. So for me, Joel, like, you know, I'm a coach as well, and we absolutely love what we do because we get to see the growth in other people. We get to see people transform before our very eyes. We get to see them have these breakthroughs where stuff has been holding them back in life for so many years. They've got all these self-sabotaging, you know, things happening, and we get to help them break through that. And it is so rewarding to see people's, not just their financial growth, but their spiritual growth, their mental growth, the way that they can now flick a negative into a positive, the way that they can deal with stressful situations. Like they just have a more blissful life because we've given them the tools and the strategies to be able to cope better when life throws curveballs at them. And we hold them accountable to their word, which means like, and you know what? We actually had a coaching call with someone last night, and instantly they implemented a few things that we mentioned on the call, and already the wheels are in motion to them getting closer to their goals. And for me, it just makes my heart sing when people do that, when they go, click, okay, I can do that. And we give them that first step, they take that first step, and then they're off and running. But for us, Joel, it's just such a rewarding role, isn't it? And it's so critical for us to keep teaching what we've learned, because we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaches. And now we get to cipher through all that information and give it to you guys, our listeners, who we love, and we want to impart this knowledge on so that you can go out there and then create that unstoppable life for yourselves as well.
That's like 100%. And I'm curious, like you've been coached for quite a while. And like, do you have a story where what's the largest thing that coaching has actually done for you? Like, what's the biggest shift? Like, you probably had many. Like one comes to mind for me. And I'm curious, like, what's yours? Like what would have not getting coached cost you, I guess? So like, what's the biggest thing, and like, what would not having that in your life have cost you now if you didn't get the coaching? So, yeah.
Well, that's such a great question, Joel. And I hope that everyone asks themselves that question as well, because for me, what do people want to know during their lifetime? They want to know why are we here? You know, what's my purpose? And through coaching, I found that, guys. I found what my top 3 values were. I found what my purpose, what my mission in life was. When you find what that is, like why you've been put on this planet, oh my gosh, it is amazing. Now you have a direction. You've got kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel, and you know where you're going, you know. And for me, that was probably the biggest thing, Joel, because now every day, every move that I take throughout my day is in the direction of my purpose. It's about leaving that legacy. You know, one of my coaches, Mitch Bean from MJB Seminars, he got us to actually write a 1,000-year plan. A 1,000-year plan. Now, most of you can't see past Friday. Today's Thursday. Most of you can't see past the end of the week, right? And you're just waiting for that weekend to arrive. Imagine having a 1,000-year plan that you're working towards. Imagine having a 100-year plan that you're working towards, and leaving that kind of legacy that people are still talking about you 100 years after you're gone, or 1,000 years after you're gone. And I'm not saying you need big, grand goals like that, but it's important for you to one, find out, well, why am I here on this planet? Because I can guarantee, guys, when you go to a cemetery and you walk over all those graves, you're walking over billions and billions of dollars of unfulfilled dreams and aspirations. People have just put their dreams and aspirations on the shelf to go work for the man, to work someone else's value system, and to work on someone else's dreams because of these shitty self-worth beliefs that we're not good enough to have the life that we dream of. We dream it, we think it's too far out of our reach. But that's bullshit. You know, if you had the right coaching, if you had someone guiding you, if you had someone helping you discover why you're actually here, what's your passion, what sets your soul on fire, that's what coaching did for me, Joel. And if I was still in my corporate role, yes, I had like some cool mentors in the corporate world, but they weren't looking outside that box that I was in. It was all about that organization. They weren't talking to me about, okay, well, why are you actually on this planet? You know, what do you actually want to be? You know, when you kind of grow up, and, you know, what impact you want to make. This is where coaching comes in, and that's what it's done for me, mate. But I'm curious, what's it done for you?
Well, for me, I was like, I already had the drive. I was already hungry. I was already aggressive towards like becoming this guy that had the big business, that had all that stuff. So I already had that. And, you know, like no point going into my old story, you know, like listen to the previous podcast and you'll hear it. But, you know, I really had to, like with the coaching, it helped me reflect and help me change. And, you know, what my coach James was able to do for me, and when you get to know that guy even more, you can see why, because he was a really, really successful guy, like super successful. And he actually became a depressed millionaire. Like he was super wealthy, super, you know, on the outside. And if you're chasing that to be happy, you're already missing the point. And so like how many people know, like how many of the listeners know someone who's really, really wealthy, but has a terrible relationship, who seems to have their finances right, and on the outside, they look like they've got this life, but on the inside, they're miserable. You know, that's the whole coin of money doesn't bring happiness. Well, maybe that's a whole different story. But what happened for me was my coach actually pulled me up and goes like, listen, why do you want the money? Like, why do you want this money? And I'm like, oh, well, I just want more money. Why do you want that amount? Like I had a massive amount. He's like, what's that going to do for you? And I'm just like, realistically, I was just chasing a number. And I was like, well, so I can do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want. And he said, what makes you think that you can't do that now? I was like, well, I can't. He's like, okay, specifically what can't you do? I was like, well, I can't fly first class to New York and tick off my bucket list of being there. And while he's on the call with me, he looked up Google and he went to Emirates and he booked a ticket. He looked at what the ticket would cost and he told me what it was. And he goes, first of all, he said, how much do you think it's going to cost? And I was like, I don't know, lots, so much. And he was just like, well, actually it costs like $15,000. I was like, wow, I can do that right now. And what he did is like, and this is where the real coaching happened. Not like all the rest of it was really amazing, but when he went, hang on a minute, before you do that, I just want to stop you, because if you are finding like a way to be unhappy with the thought of going on that plane and ticking off your bucket list, he's like, my fear for you is that if you can feel unhappy now, when you're sitting on that first class seat, getting your champagne or getting whatever you're getting and getting looked after on this dream trip, you'll find a way to be unhappy then. And oh my God, did I spend so much time for years learning how to describe my situation better. Like just the way you describe the way you're experiencing life is how you're going to experience it. Like, so however you describe it is how you're going to experience it. So if you're saying disempowering words and you're explaining it in a disempowering way, that's how you're going to feel. You know, so like just having someone that could literally help me even just use better language around my experiences, and really I just remember the day that it all dropped for me and I actually felt a full physical, like, charge of energy. Like, my life actually changed in that spot where it finally dropped that instead of chasing the private jet and $100 million and all the properties and all the stuff and all that down the track, and thinking that down the track that's going to make me happy, because like that could take 25 years. What about the time leading up to that? What if you get all the way through and you're putting all this stuff off and you're just on the grind just because you think something down the track's going to make you happy, and you get there and go, oh shit, this isn't all I thought it was going to be. And you've just wasted 25 years of your life chasing some shit you don't even know, like, you know? So what he did is he taught me how to be happy now, no matter what. Because if you can get someone to help you be happy now, no matter what, you've already won. People can't take shit off you then. No one can come and take your happiness. Happiness is a choice that you can make. And I can hear people already probably rolling their eyes on that one, and I'm with you. I was one of those people. But when you get a coach that's got the skill that can show you how to be happy in the now, you become fucking invincible. So that's what it did for me. I can be happy. I'm not saying I'm happy 100% of the time, but I can tell you that I don't live there. If something annoys me, I've got strategies to get back to happiness, because you can't make empowered decisions when you're in a bad mood. So if you're making decisions from a place of negativity, you've got a flawed strategy. And that's what spaced repetition week in, week out. And I've had weeks where I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to my Monday call. So I've got a coach to support me, you know. He'll jump on calls with me if I need an emergency call. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can be happy. What else do you need? All the rest is a bonus. The money that's coming to me now, my business is exploding. We've got, you know, we're filling up like rooms of people, and they're thanking us, and there's all this like abundance coming into both our businesses, Kristine, because we've learned how to be happy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, mate. You've nailed it there. And, you know, speed of implementation is so important. I'm curious, out of our listeners, how often have you had a good idea and you've thought of the idea, but you haven't implemented it straight away, and you think, oh, I'll get to that later in the week, or I'll get to that next week. And then all of a sudden the inspiration for that idea gets less and less, and it kind of dies out, and then the idea never gets implemented. And then you move on to the next one, you have another great idea, and then the same thing happens. So having a coach, you get that speed of implementation. I want to share some statistics with you. You know, if you just implement 15 new ideas a month, like just one every second day, like one new idea every second day, you would have at least a 20% growth in your business. How cool is that? Just by implementing 15 ideas a month. If you implemented between 7 and 14 ideas a month, then you're going to have around a 6% growth in your business. And if you implemented under 5 new ideas a month, you'll have a 0 to 2% growth. So having these new ideas, you need someone to bounce those ideas off. You need someone to, you know, like a coach that can help guide you and go, yeah, well, that's a great idea. Why don't you start with this? This is the first step. This is the first, you know, because you don't want to eat the whole elephant, okay? You want to take that first bite, yeah? So coaching is all about getting someone to listen to your ideas and maybe go, hey, that's an awesome idea. Why don't you tweak it? Or why don't you add this in? Or why don't you start here and let's see where this takes you? And then you have in place your strategy, your test and measures, everything like that, and you can tweak it if you want. But once one idea is implemented, then you can move on to the next one. And sometimes it's only 1 degree. You just shift that 1 degree, that thing that makes your business move 1 degree in the right direction, and that can absolutely have exponential growth in your business and for your life as well. Now, for Joel and I, we're not the most financially successful people getting around. We're not where we want to be financially, but we still feel like we're the most successful people that we know, because we've got great relationships, our business is booming, we've got abundant mindset, we've got, I wouldn't say balance, but we've got the strategies in place to be able to know when we need to rest and when we need to go hell for leather. You know, we've got the strategies to be able to turn negatives into positives. Like Joel and I don't do negative. So when we are in that place, we know how to help each other get out of it. And we don't sit there. So it's really easy working with each other, actually, because we're in total alignment with that kind of mindset, you know. And I'm really proud of myself because I got my first hater the other day on social media, and I'm like, yes, I'm doing something right. And even Joel sent me a message saying, congratulations, you got your first hater. And like, I didn't take anything negative away from that experience. This person was trying to tear me down, but all I did was send love back in her direction, you know. And I just said, I'm sending you so much love today. I hope you find inspiration and positivity in the day before you, you know. And that I haven't heard from her since. So sometimes just even putting a positive to, like, when people are doing stuff like that, it just makes me feel sad for them, you know. We don't have to like let people affect us, and that's something that we're really good at. We are very good at not letting external forces influence us, and because we've learnt the skills and the strategies from our coaches to be able to do that, and we want to be able to pass those skills and strategies on. I'm really curious, like, how many of our listeners would love to be able to have something in their back pocket that if life throws a curveball at you, or someone's being negative to you over here, or someone's, you know, crashing on your vibe and trying to kill your dreams, how many of you would love to be able to go click in the click of a finger and be able to just turn that situation around and use it to empower you and inspire you and fuel you to go after whatever it is you're going after? I mean, who would love to be able to have that? Even if it's your partner, you've got to charge with them at the moment, or your kids are just doing your head in and adding grey hairs to your head, or, you know, we've got strategies in place to be able to help you maintain your vibe, you know, make sure that these things are not bringing you down and holding and making you play at a lower level. We've got strategies for that, and that's how coaches can really help you. And if it's not us, find someone else. Find someone else that you align with that can help you get closer to where it is you want to be in life. Because the worst thing that you can do is let another year go past, and then another year, and then another year. And then in 5 years, you look back and you think, oh, I wish I had made a change or got a coach 5 years ago. I'd be in a totally different place. And you never, ever, ever want to get to the end of your life and have regrets. Okay. You never want to be on your deathbed and look back and say, oh, I should have taken more risks. I should have done more of the things I loved. I should have had, less stress. I shouldn't have worked so hard, you know, because here's what I see, Joel. So many people put things off because they think that they're going to live forever. But the reality is, guys, we're not. Our number could be up in a matter of days, in a matter of months, in a matter of years. We have no idea when our time is up, and when it's up, it's up. And I would love to ask you that if you were taken tomorrow, would you be okay? Would you be like, you know what? I had a great life. I did a lot of cool things, and I'm okay to go out right now. And I can honestly say that I'm pretty much there. There's a few things I'd love to still do, obviously, because I want to have a big impact. But I've had an incredible life. I've taken the lessons, and I know Joel has as well. And we've been able to leave a legacy for our kids through being a role model and the example and the positive influence that we want to have on them. So I know that if I left my family tomorrow, they would be okay. I've instilled enough values in them to be good people. And I know, Joel, you feel the same, don't you?
Absolutely. And I was only talking about this yesterday with a client. Honestly, if I had died 4 years ago, I would have been full of regret. And back then I was that guy. I had the successful on the outside business. Like I had a lot to be grateful for. Don't get me wrong. But I had a lot left in the tank. I had a lot of dreams left in the tank. You know, I hadn't even traveled. I'd never been out of the country. I believe that I'd only been to Queensland. I traveled around. I'd done a lot of driving for work around New South Wales, but I hadn't done anything else, you know, and as soon as I started coaching, and look, it took a massive kick in the pants financially, like where I went back to less than zero. And I was like, well, what the hell was I waiting for? It's all gone. And that business could be a metaphor for your life. Like, what the hell are you waiting for? But if you fast forward to now, holy crap, I'm never going to say I'm ready to go. You know, I've got so much, it's so far out in the future for me in my mind. But if it was my time, yeah, I've been a better human being over the last 4 years than I have been for the rest of my life combined. I've learnt strategies. I've loved, I've mattered, I've helped people. I've made money. I've found to do it with grace and ease and not to be so hard. Like if any of your, like, I'm not saying run away from hard, but if it's feeling hard, maybe that's the universe telling you that you need a different strategy. But yeah, like without my coaching, it's what I changed. I changed the coaching. I've made money and I've done less intense, crazy work. Like, I mean, not doing 100-hour weeks. And if I do the longer weeks, I'm happy to do it. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm excited. I'm excited to have sleepless nights, really, because I'm excited about my business. I'm excited about what's going on. Like, I'm inspired. And that has to have been from coaching, because that's what I changed. Now, people are going to come in, like, and some of the listeners are going to go, yeah, but I don't have the money to get a coach. And here's what I say to them. When I went to the thing that changed my life, I went to a Tony Robbins event. And from that event, it led to me finding my coach. And from that coaching, this has all happened, right? And I've been coached by many great coaches. And I've got two that I'm sticking to, currently. And they helped me so much. But, I didn't have the money to buy that ticket. I did not have the means to buy that ticket in the first place. And had I let that excuse, instead of, having an excuse for, or, an excuse for every solution, a problem for every solution. Had I let that problem of not having the money get in my road, it would have easily cost me over $1 million. So that $1,000 that I couldn't afford would have cost me $1 million. Probably more than that. That is the cost of not getting coaching. If I didn't get coached, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know. I'm not, like, no one can know that. And I'm sure you're the same. Like, you're a highly successful in multiple businesses. You speak all around the world. You get invited to, like, the best of the best events for women. You give more than you ever are going to get credit for. And you've got the means to do that. Like, what if you didn't get coaching? I'm guessing that not all of that would have happened. So what's the cost of not coaching? That $1,000.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I'm definitely not $1 million earner just yet, but I have earned in my profession. I've definitely earned over $1 million, and that would never have happened if I didn't have the coaching, the mentoring, if I didn't surround myself with the people that I knew could take me to that next level. And there's clues in all this, Joel. Like, if you hang around the people that have created the life that you want, then you need to make that happen. How can you hang around those people? How can you be in front of them, around them? You've all heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Well, start hanging out with the peer group that is going to take you to that next level, And for me, the coaching is it's just been incredible. And when I first started coaching, I didn't have any money either, Joel. I had to go and get a second job to help pay for the coaching that I needed to help my personal training business go to that next level. It was a 10 grand program. I didn't have the $10,000, but I asked the question of the guys. And here's the thing, ask the question, how can I make this happen? I don't have the 10,000. How can I make it happen? And they helped me create a payment plan that was suitable to me. So the second job that I got allowed me to pay for the coaching to help me in my business, that helped me grow that business. Does that make sense? So sometimes we just go, nah, I can't afford it. And we put the block up and we don't even think about asking more empowering questions. Well, this is actually something that sounds really good. It feels good in my heart space. I want to do it. How can I make it happen? And if you go to people and actually ask that question, say, look, I really want to do it, but I'm just strapped right now. How could I actually do it? Then that person might actually give you some free advice, give you some free strategies to get started. We have lots of coaches that they don't even know they're coaching us, Joel, that they give us free information. We listen to so many podcasts, audio books, things like that. Like, I consider some of these guys that I listen to on a regular basis my coaches, even though they have no idea who Kristine Drummond is, but they are still coaching me through life.
They will.
They will.
They will know who Kristine Drummond is.
They sure will, especially when we overtake them with this podcast. But there are some amazing like amazing minds out there that are giving free information all the time through podcasts. And I know we're in a world where we're in the IT era where there's just an abundance of videos and audios and things being thrown at us. But make sure you listen to Boss Talks #1, but then go and find 2 or 3 other podcasts from people that are going to help you with the skills, the knowledge, the information that you need to get to where you want to go in life. And there's so much free advice out there. I mean, this podcast is free. There's other podcasts out there, but yes, people pay for it. But you can jump on Google, you can jump on YouTube and find out anything you want to know in regards to whatever it is that you want to create in your life. So yeah, I'm going to kind of leave it there, Joel, because I think like we've made our point and hopefully our listeners understand that it's really hard. You're actually doing it the hard way if you're trying to do it on your own. And if you want to expedite, if you want to do the shortcut to greatness, then you definitely need someone there to kick your butt and hold you accountable.
It's hilarious, like your story about your $10,000, like at that first event. So I spent the $1,000 for Tony Robbins, and my next event was Business Mastery, which was $10,000 American. And my credit card only had I think it had a $500 limit on it. I was like, it was a really old credit card, and I was like, back in those days, fearful of people knocking off my credit card online and everything like that. And I thought, well, if I've only got a $500 limit, they can only steal so much, and I can pay for that with like a wage from a job, so I'm always safe, right? So I went and put this deposit down, and a couple of days later when I went back home, I used that credit card over and over. And so I was like literally on the phone to the guy in America, putting $500 down at a time, and then restacking it and then putting it through again, and then putting it back, paying it off. You know, I did that for 10 grand American. This poor guy earned his money that day because it was like getting rejected because it hadn't swapped over. We were doing it too quick. And so it
you followed that course, didn't you?
I did. And it changed my life. And I just learned right then, I was like, wow, what are these people doing that have got the success that I want doing that I'm not doing? And you know what? Accountability alone, if I turned up to my coach, which is I'm doing after the recording of this, and I hadn't done my homework and I hadn't kept to my word that what I was going to do, he would just get on and go, well, you know what this call's about, don't you? Go and do your homework. See you next week. And I'd dump all that money on a coaching call, and it would be like 3 minutes long. So you want accountability, go pay someone money to hold you to account and not put up with your bull crap, because So that's where I'm going with it. So yeah, it's worth every cent. Is there a minefield out there of good and bad coaches? Yeah, but you're going to learn something. Getting a bad coach can give you an education that you need more skills around finding a coach. Maybe you need a better consultant. Maybe you need a better strategy. It's all working for you. Even the bad times, and even a bad coach, even a bad seminar can have that one gold nugget that makes you $1 million or 10 million. How many stories have we heard about that? So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Go be smart, go find a coach, use our podcast. We're just coming up to around 40 episodes now. There's so much gold in there. You can go make $1 million from what we've got here. So there's free. Like you got Ed Milet, you got Andy Priscilla, you got Tony Robbins, you got all these amazing, like Lewis Howes, like Tim Ferriss. Like there's so many podcasts out there that don't cost you a thing that you can go make the money, so that then maybe you can jump into a group coaching session and then use that group coaching session. Don't just use it as content, go apply it, and then you can afford like private coaching, and then you use the learnings there to go get an even better coach. And even better. Hell, one day you could go up from a free podcast to being coached by Tony Robbins or Ray Dalio or Warren Buffett, or who the hell knows? But you'll never know if you just let fear get in the road and just stop you, and then you don't do it. Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm glad it has. Go ahead. It's your
Ama-
turn.
Amazing, Joel. Great call. And if we haven't convinced you that you need a coach, then oh my gosh, we haven't done our job today. But I feel like we have, and hopefully you get it. And we actually did a podcast on all the different ways you can make money as well. So we go back and have a look at that podcast, because I think people get stuck with their blinkers on, don't they? And they don't realize that there's multiple, like we were just talking to a client yesterday about, there's someone on YouTube at the moment that's earning about $5 million a year opening kids' toys. Like an adult is opening kids' toys, and because of the views and the advertising that's going through those videos, they're making about $5 million a year. Now, could we do that? Absolutely, we could. You guys could as well. So it's just about finding these things that are in alignment with your values and what you want to achieve, and then just put it out there. Just go and find a coach to help you take those first steps, to hold you accountable. And honestly, you will not regret getting a coach. No, I've never heard anyone regret getting a coach. Everyone that I've spoken to that I know that's had coaches has always moved forward in life. And that's what we want for you guys. We want you to have that blissful life, that masterpiece life. We don't want you just to dream about your future. We want you to live that reality, whatever that looks like for you. So, Joel, is there anything else you want to add in?
Just go get it. Go get your life. Go get it. Start with free and complimentary, and move your way up the chain, because even if you could go get coaching from Tony Robbins and it costs you $2 million, but it helped you make $100 million, coaching is really priceless, right? So just go do it. Have a most outstanding day.
Damn. Yeah.